Hello, hello. Welcome to week number 5 of ProBots Season 1 2025. Is it Season 1? Season 2. I forget. It is Season 1. It feels late in the year to be Season 1, but it is. But that's kind of where we're at. We are at the consolation matches. Some of these bots will survive. Some of these, about half of them, will get thrown away. I am joined here by Laughing Games.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. I'm ready to see which of these bots make it.
Yes.
It's an important day. So
It is indeed. After this, we will have a fully formed round of 8, and we will have fully discarded 4 bots that probably won't really be fully discarded. Just somebody's going to recode them a little bit to try and make them incrementally better. That is the basic evolution of the process. But
Yeah.
maybe some of them will be abandoned, rejected by their authors.
It's sink or swim day for the
Yeah.
bots for sure. So
Exactly. So we are here on ProBots. If you like this sort of content, definitely hit like and subscribe below. It's going to be a good day here. We've got a variety of bots. We just saw the winners match last week, and people get kicked down to the losers, but then triumphantly people came up from the losers bracket to get here. So arriving in 2 different ways. I don't know if we want to take a look at the format, our fancy rectangles of what the structure of our tournament is. I could see in my okay, well, that's good enough. We could have done the overlay transparent part. I think that was cool. Over here on the left side, we've got the group stage, which we are in the last day of. We started with 4 groups of 4, which have functioned GSL style, meaning double elimination, where 2 bots make it out of a group and 2 bots are summarily executed. That then moves on to a round of 8 in the right rectangle, where there is a single elimination bracket, quarterfinals best of 3, semis best of 5, and finals best of 7.
all right.
Yeah. So I think we're, we often do a lot of there's often some other guy that hops on here. He's doing production today, so he can't, go through a whole bunch of spiels, but in his honor, there is a template below if you want to get involved in becoming a bot author. There's a lot of good, helpful videos that Drekken has put together that kind of walk you through starting to use one of these frameworks and how to code a bot. He kind of picked it up and has done really well without a lot of coding experience, just kind of using AI tools to both create the bot and make sure that a lot of paralegals are unemployed. So something like that. But we are going to, do you want to take a look at maybe today's bracket to see who we're going to look at?
Yeah, see how we got here
Yeah.
and where we're going.
All right. Here's one of them. So, so we just saw last week Micro Machine take out a SharpenedEdge. And so SharpenedEdge will drop down to this consolation match where it's going to meet Caninana, which is a relatively strong bot, which has made its way back up through Whale Mean, beating that one 2-1. So I think that's going to be a pretty good match. There on the other side, we've got Zozo, a normally cheesy bot that didn't cheese, getting knocked down to the consolation bracket against longtime ProBots mainstay Tier, the Terran version of Tier.
Yeah, very exciting for both of these matches, as both Caninana and Tier have received updates, so we'll see if they've got any specific builds or just general improvements put into them. Personally, I'm most excited for Tier, as it's a older bot, but has been getting some attention lately, it seems.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, kind of went on a little bit of hiatus in terms of updates, but now is kind of back and functional again. Do we have the other groups?
I think
second half.
Yeah, we go over those.
Okay. Well, we'll do that later then. Don't worry about it. But those will be nice too. So stick around for the entire thing. So yeah, let's focus in on match number 1. We're going to be getting SharpenedEdge first against Caninana. SharpenedEdge, another one that is a long-term mainstay in the scene here, but hasn't really been updated in a while, just kind of updated to keep it functional on new maps and new patches and things like that.
Yeah, so we've got SharpenedEdge as our first bot, programmed by Dr. Infi. And yeah, Protoss Python bot strategy, being able to react to most things, strong early pushes and smooth transitions into the late game. Used to be made strong. These days it's more a gimmick machine trying to surprise other bots. Yeah, it's got some cheesy builds, but it's also got some pretty solid macro.
Yeah.
Both of these bots are quite well-rounded for the most part. Like, no fatal flaws that we tend to see too often. Weaknesses, no updates as of late, as was said earlier. But again, still a very well-rounded bot. So
yeah, indeed. And yeah, despite it saying it has like a lot of late game weaknesses, it does use a lot of like late game units and so on. So it just doesn't tend to get up to that sort of like 8 base economy that we see some of the bots do. Yeah, made with the Sharpie SC2 framework. And yeah, basically that framework was made out of the effort to code this originally. So that framework and other frameworks are out there available if you're interested in this sort of thing at all. There are frameworks to help you get going and use things and solve a lot of your problems. Yeah, hasn't been active too much in the last 2 or 3 years, but it is still maintained to make sure that it's playable and viable, and it's good enough that it just tends to be in the top portion of bots perennially.
okay, then we've got Caninana by Ratosh. It's the only Rust bot to frequently qualify for ProBots. No framework, so it's all original code and very good code. Adapts to the game, tries to survive early based on scout information and play with mid/late game casters. That's very true. It's probably the bot with the best spellcasters. Weak against strong timing attacks. That's also true, as sometimes it can struggle with knowing when to take an engagement at times, but it's pretty solid for the most part. And the bot author highlights that in the builds they choose, playing safely in the openings. Okay, follows a single optimized opening until the first expansion, built entirely from scratch. It features unit clustering for efficient control, combat simulation for tactical decision making, advanced pathfinding for unit movement, priority-based production queue for resource management.
Yeah, all good things. It kind of, it's another one. It's been around. It's evolved really well over the last few years. I think it started originally just kind of doing like a 7 roach rush or like very basic opening stuff, and it's really fleshed out into something fully grown.
Yeah, we're about to get on into game number 1 on Thunderbird here. Was I right, though, in seeing that Caninana won 2024 Season 3?
I think that's right, yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I always forget. There is somewhere a Wikipedia of the results of these.
Yes, it's not the most up-to-date Wikipedia, but it's still very cool.
Yeah, that's often the case. I used to be good at knowing how to update that sort of thing, but I don't anymore. But I used to do it for a bunch of tournaments. But yeah, we're gonna hop on a Thunderbird here. Interesting map. Sometimes the minerals blocking paths in the middle cause some weird things, but sometimes it's fine. So we'll see. Let's get into game number 1. But I bet he's gonna switch back to our faces and then go in.
Yeah, just to put us on the spot for a moment.
Oh,
no, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to see us.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
SharpenedEdge. Kanana.
Yay. We've got a probe going out, putting a I don't know what's going on there. Putting a, was that just shake or weird lag? But pylon.
I think it might have been a bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we do get that classic early spawning pool from Caninana, but don't be deceived. It's not a cheesy spawning pool. It's just the bot author playing safe with how they want to program their bot to remove a lot of the sort of guesswork as to whether they need to macro or play defensive early on. Just early pool every time and play from there. So
yeah, makes sense in this cheesy world of ours to take that sort of precaution. And SharpenedEdge going for gas, but not just starting to mine it there, but is going for the wall off at the natural. And SharpenedEdge actually seeing that pool and kind of registering as potentially cheese, even though it's not in this case.
Yeah, it never is, but SharpenedEdge fires up a zealot, or we may call him a glorified doorman, as he'll probably turn into, as that Protoss does begin building the wall. A few wings out for Caninana are chasing down the scouting probe to kill that off, so that drone should be able to get back to work soon. And it does, so that's good to see, because Caninana does need every drone with that early spawning pool. Its economy does take a bit longer to get going on.
Indeed it does, as the Overlord comes in to check out what's going on. And seeing a zealot standing there as if there's a building next to it, even though there's not quite yet.
Okay, so we do get a stalker on the way for SharpenedEdge following that up. I'm curious to see what sort of tech it's going to go, as sometimes it does just like to go heavy in the gateway units, but we may see a quick third base or something like that as well. Meanwhile, Caninana is a bot that sometimes doesn't attack till it hits 200 supply, but other times it will make a lot of lings and get aggressive. It's just that reactiveness that can kind of determine that.
Yeah, very much so. It's trying to respond to things, and I guess if it determines that you're either being too greedy, not building up enough or anything, that there's an opportunity there, it'll go. But like you said, it's not usually an early anything. We've got Stargate and Twilight coming down at the same time here, and Burrow on the side of Caninana. Burrow almost always cost effective in the long run.
Yes. Yes, just having the ability to burrow those drones or burrow lings at expansions is just worth its weight in gold. Burrow's also one of the cheapest upgrades in the game.
Yeah.
Now, we do get resonating glaives from SharpenedEdge, so a bit more of a aggressive tech potentially.
Yeah, for sure. Can be good against early ling balls. And then coupled with the void ray is interesting. Not always, almost kind of not good against the things that the glaives is good against. It's not good at many small targets, but it is good against, say, if it ended up being roaches and things like that.
Yeah, so they can potentially kind of help balance out the composition. SharpenedEdge does like to go for these sort of interesting compositions with like going for adepts and void rays, something that's not too conventional. And we'll see whether it's just going to secure up a third base behind this or actually get quite aggressive. Adepts for now are just hunting down that 1-4 Zergling. That is a very cool feature of Caninana that really highlights its reactiveness. It sends out a Zergling, a scouting Zergling, like clockwork. As soon as this one here dies, it'll send out another. And that's just a choice the bot author made to throw away a small amount of resources, but to just have basically constant information.
Yeah, and it does kind of make a lot of sense, especially if you've there's a lot of Zerg bots that you can rely on having a lot of information a little later in the game because of creep and because of overlords and so on. So if you kind of want to use a very informed bot, then doing this sort of thing early makes sense, and then it's just kind of aware of what's going on the entire game. You could potentially, pause a little more between. It almost feels like it's sending the next guy before the first guy's even dead.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
it's like clockwork how it does it. I
yeah,
mean, one Zergling is 25 minerals, so it's not a ton.
yeah,
And this is what I mean by Sharpened Edge having very unconventional build orders. It's got now 2 Stargates. It
yeah.
went for that early Glaives, but didn't do anything with it. Now it's getting up a third base charge and +1 attack for those few Void Rays it has. It really
Yeah.
is. It's a bit of a head scratcher, but it is a decently well-rounded composition.
Yeah, it can be interesting. It's yeah, often you do see if you get glaives, you make use of that investment in some way early on. Um, and we are getting a little bit of a move out here. But yeah, it feels like a kind of interesting anti-timing where there's not really a commitment to one thing, but we've got a mix of adepts, a mix of zealots, stalkers in there with void rays in there. It's kind of covering all bases, but not super strong in one area.
Yeah, the pathing on Sharpened Edge's units were very interesting there as well. Like, the Void Rays chose to stay with the Adepts and not
Yeah,
just fly over those minerals, which is
yeah,
good to see. Now, this attack is starting out very quickly. However, there is that burrow, and no detection is present for Sharpened Edge, so Caninana just plants its injured roaches like potatoes, and then that is enough with the Queens to support to drive Sharpened Edge back.
yeah. And good decision on the pullback. Didn't
Yes.
lose everything here. Kind of ran into trouble, realized what's going on, and is going to pull back, keeping most things alive. But yeah, we'll definitely need some sort of detection to advance. Because the composition itself, not too bad against what we saw, which was a mix of lings and roaches with some hydra in the back. But yeah, just no way to kill those roaches.
Yes, this can be a weakness from Sharpened Edge as well. It is a bit of an older bot, so it hasn't had as much work done on detection at times, I believe. So
Mhm.
there is times in which it will struggle to get like a fourth base that's blocked by a ling, I've noticed. So that is something we'll have to keep an eye out whether we do eventually get a robo or some form of detection, because presently that fourth base is blocked.
Yeah, definitely. And if you've got into a tech path where you don't just have something like that floating around, it's a hard decision to make at the time. Um, so it looks like he's kind of just going to go for another push. But again, without really having any detection there, this may not be the best.
Yeah, it may not be. Now, Kanana is teching into Hydras, which are actually worse in this situation
Yeah.
than the Roaches because the Hydras don't benefit from the burrow. So it is kind of funny in the sense that Kanana is transitioning into an arguably worse composition than just spamming Roaches
Yeah.
to make maximum use of the burrow. But of course, as a bot author, you're not going to plan on your opponent not having a response to your burrow or something like that. Now, Sharpened Edge is kind of getting pulled back and forth as a Spire goes down for Kanana. As we see, I think it's those Overseers constantly getting envisioned that's making the army sort of freak out.
Do something. Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going on. Is there's one to the north, one to the northwest, and Sharpened Edge is trying to poke forward, but it's not really happening. Kanana may pull it forward, however, Sharpened Edge is hesitating. Its army's split into 2 groups by those Overseers. Now, looks like the Zealots do spill forward. The Adepts definitely are late to help out, but they do toss out Shades as the engagement begins. And those Adepts will complete the Shade onto the Zerg army. Void Rays are putting out lots of damage, but then all of a sudden the math changes. The Void Rays try and run on out of there, leaving the Adepts to die.
Yeah, not being very supportive there. The shade forward also just kind of was like in the middle of a much larger army with no real structure to it. They were kind of spread all over the place. So that was a not great decision to allow that to finish. There's a lot of void rays. It's just there's not anything to let them do much.
Yeah, no detection on their roaches still. SharpenedEdge does keep trying to build that fourth base as well, but there's no detection there, so that's one area where the age of the bot shows a little bit, as most of the more modern bots do have a pretty good response to that. Kanana, meanwhile, is getting up a greater spire, getting up all sorts of tech. I mean, 2-2 going up across the board. It's gone up to a ton of drones, and now it's got those scary infestors out as well, which can just absolutely massacre Void Rays potentially.
Yeah, definitely a good fungal on them would be quite strong. I don't know whether it's got logic for things like the parasitic cloud or whatever in terms of separating like Void Rays out.
Yeah, we did actually get SharpenedEdge to build a fourth base, but I didn't ever see it building a robo. Maybe I missed that or something. So maybe Caninana just unburrowed the ling or something.
Yeah, possible.
Yeah, there's literally still no detection, but somehow that base did get started up. Doesn't seem to matter too much though, as Caninana moves forward to cancel that base. Where's the rest of those Void Rays? Are they just...
we lost a couple to Neural Parasite, basically. There's the big pack, though.
Up in the main base.
Yeah, so they're trying to create the most efficient fungal target.
They are. SharpenedEdge is going to be playing with fire, as it does seem to be afraid of this army of Caninana. But this is the scary thing about Caninana. You let it hit 200 supply. It's got these incredible spellcasters, and I'm just not sure that SharpenedEdge can compete, and particularly after having that fourth base killed off. That really hurts.
Yeah, now going after the front wall here. There's ultimately still not confidence to engage these Void Rays, but they kind of are poking in at various buildings. And here potentially comes the big engagement. Yeah.
Lots of Neurals, the Hydras and Infestors just massacring those Void Rays, as SharpenedEdge even killed its own Void Rays there too. So very, very good spellcaster use by Caninana. And Blue Zerg will take game number 1.
Indeed. Just stepped out a little too far, got in range of a bunch of Infestors that picked everything off. Kanana great with the Neural Parasites. And just chain chain taking control of the last Void Ray. And we're just cleaning up.
Yeah. Well done. Pretty solid game, about as you'd expect between these two, with Caninana surviving till the late game. Things look good.
Indeed. So yeah, we'll have to see if SharpenedEdge can maybe deviate from that sort of build or come up with something that has detection attached to it, because I think that was definitely one of the things stopping it, obviously, is it wanted to make some sort of timing attack. But even with detection and the composition it had, I think it was kind of outnumbered on Kaninana's side at the time.
It's just, I mean, without getting damage done with that push, it wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
And then as a result, its macro was too weak behind it, whereas Caninana went a much more direct, just safe play into solid macro, or SharpenedEdge.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not supposed to freak out that something's happening, but I don't know what people can see. But we are, I guess, getting ready for game number 2. I don't know, map-wise, as you pointed out in that game, it did... Should we keep going, Drek? Okay. Basically, in that game, as you pointed out, the pathing was actually really well handled by SharpenedEdge, that the Void Rays didn't get separated, even though the ground path was totally different. So it's good at maintaining control in compositions like that. It did struggle a little bit with like placement of units. Like very often because of speed, zealots get ahead of things. So it did have this separation out where the adepts were coming in behind things in a way that wasn't, you'd start that initial engagement and they're not firing for a while. So that could definitely hurt. But because of that, keeping them together well, I don't know that the map is going to make as big a difference for the strategies that either bot is doing. It's not like there's this ramp and that's going to change things, or there's this structure and that's going to change things necessarily.
Yeah, I'm not sure that loss was too map dependent. It was more strategy. And so we'll see whether SharpenedEdge can change up that strategy going into game number 2 on Acropolis.
Yeah, and Acropolis, of course, famous for its cafes.
Yes.
Very nice area. Got Adam's Cafe on one side of the map, and then a cafe that we can't quite see its name. I bet there's ways to see it, because you could do the camera spin. Maybe we could get the observer to change our angle a little and see if there's a name on that. I want to see if they're both Adams.
Okay.
I think we are ready to hop into game number 2.
SharpenedEdge. Aniana.
Oh, there's that sign.
Yeah, indeed.
Cafe.
So that one's Adam's Cafe. Does this one, are we able to see a name?
I think it's the purple sign.
So, yeah, it's the other sign.
That says it.
Yeah, it says
there
Adam's
is a name on there.
Yeah, they're both Adam's Cafe. So I guess it's a franchise.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah. Adam's Cafe, now with 2 locations on the Acropolis. Scout coming in here now. Wonder if it will again see a pool and determine that this is a potential cheese.
No,
not going to get in and take a peek.
Probe is trying, but Kanana does assign a drone to chase after that, which is probably a wise decision.
There we go.
As probes left to their own devices are very dangerous.
Yes, exactly. Probes do control a lot of devices. Okay.
SharpenedEdge's wall doesn't look perfect.
No, it doesn't really.
Where's that?
I guess that's a space that it works. It's just not. It gives a lot of surface area.
I think units can get through there, can't they? Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm.
It's hard to. I thought that until he stood there, or you could see the overlapping circle. Yeah, I think
it's on the corner of the cybernetics core, though. I think, which is bigger. So I don't know. Maybe Lings could sneak by there. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll probably never know.
It's not the good, like, tunnely, narrow that you want. Yeah.
Anyway, we do have SharpenedEdge actually changing up its build this game. It went for a Zealot into Stalker in game number 1, and it also had a Nexus, but no Nexus yet. A very interesting placement for a shield battery, which I can only assume is supposed to be at the natural, but is not.
Yes.
So
it's just elsewhere. Like, it's in the least effective place it could possibly be, but that's where it is. Deal with it. Burrow coming.
Okay, but yes, a one-base play from SharpenedEdge. Now Kanana has seen that and fires up a Roach Warren. And we'll just try and keep tabs on its opponent to see, hey, how many units do I actually need to make? There is a third gateway going up for SharpenedEdge. Warp Gate's researching. So this is just going to be like a one-base play. Now the concern is that Burrow is a very quick upgrade, and Caninana is already halfway to that with a Roach Warren on the way. Straight out of Wings of
Exactly.
Liberty.
Basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's an
Stargate
accurate
coming.
statement.
Yeah, if there was a commitment to adapt against burrow roach, even though you can't clean up the roaches, could still work because you're kind of they're burrowing and you're moving around, getting worker kills and all kinds of stuff. Um, could be interesting, but when you start to put in a bunch of like zealot stalkers, other things, um, and sentries, even it's
Yeah,
harder.
there is situations too where like you can potentially just force all the roaches to burrow,
Yeah, and
but
just yeah, get down, stay down.
yeah.
Yeah.
But now we'll see whether this push can work for Sharpened Edge. Zealots are quite tanky, but there is quite a few roaches and queens out to target those down. And so the red Protoss bot will have to go home. It does have a Nexus on the way, but still that is a great scout and response by Caninana in order to be safe. And it should be able to go up to a third base relatively soon now.
Indeed, there is an oracle coming out, which may help with detection if that's coded in as part of it for the reveal, but it may just go on the attack here as well. And its flight path is wiggly.
Yeah, is that something that I wonder if that's just general pathing behavior from
Yeah.
Sharpened Edge or something special for the Oracle? Because their acceleration,
Yeah.
like you want to always have Oracles moving.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes me wonder if it looks like the Oracle does force all the drones to burrow. No revelation in order to actually reveal those, but that is a lot of lost mining time with those all burrowing. And the Oracle does get shown the door.
Yeah, it does keep it alive at least. And yeah, without the burrow, that could have been pretty effective because queens weren't in position right away. But yeah, burrow again, saving lives.
Okay, Sharpened Edge is going back into that Void Ray tech. Since we are at that point in which Kanana is getting to that later mid-game stage, Sharpened Edge is probably going to be better off if it like started building something like Tempest at this point,
Yeah.
which I know it can do. So we'll see if it does get up a third base or tries to go for another move out with these Void Rays and Gateway Army.
Trying to poke back in here, but the yeah, push to the edge by a queen. This time lower shields hits the spore and does die there in the mineral line. So a bit unfortunate because he may need that later, obviously, for detection. You know, the revelations. Very often we kind of saw that as an evolution in ProBots. People would continue to make oracles. They would do no damage conventionally
Yeah.
at all, and then but eventually became more of a okay, well, it's nice to have this later to track the army or to like decloak things or whatever. Eventually a few people did get I think whale mean being one of them, or sharkbot being one that did actually use oracles to some effect, but they seem to be a hard one just because of the way the laser works and the movement works and things like that. It's not like an A move unit. You have to have very specific stuff to control it.
Definitely not. The matchup I've seen the Oracles be the most effective in is PvP, because I think it's especially hard to program them against the Zerg bots because there's always an attacking unit at the Zerg bases with the queens.
Yeah.
And then you've got to put in the extra legwork to program to say, hey, ignore that queen, go for the drones.
Yeah.
And not just to use your general, like, retreat programming. So, yes, we do have Sharpened Edge going for a Robo, going for a Blink. So this game is definitely not the same as game number 1. I do like the addition of Blink. There's a lot of efficiency to be gained there potentially. And then we do have 3 probes being produced at a time. Meanwhile, Caninana on triple Evo, getting up a Hydra Den, Neural Parasite, Carapace. Yeah, just macroing up as it does so well.
Indeed. Yeah, we're getting the Viper abduct researched. We're getting the Hydrogen up. Um, yeah, it's hard to know kind of even what the thinking really is with the Void Rays against Zerg in this match. Like it's good for like a few like really Roach is almost it, but you know that they're going to have a lot of queens, which is kind of annoying. You know that they've got a lot of things that are kind of counter to that. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not sure. Like, Sharpened Edge's composition is definitely unique,
yeah,
and I'm not necessarily gonna say the Void Rays are the worst part of that. Like, it's
yeah,
building adepts, which are not
yeah,
great either.
yeah.
So it is building an immortal, which is nice, and there is a world in which like immortal Void Ray
Immortal, yeah,
with stalkers
that's
can be a strong composition, and sometimes Kanana, like any bot that tries to counter specific units, can sometimes like over counter itself. So we'll see whether Kanana does keep producing the right units to handle this or not. Adept shade onto these roaches. Meanwhile, stalkers are skirmishing. So a multi-prong battle going on right now, as the stalkers are doing a good job against these ravagers and lings. Meanwhile, the adepts and void rays are chasing the rest of the Zerg army away. So a solid pushback by Sharpened Edge. And look at that look at those stalkers. They're doing quite well,
yeah.
although they do lose 1 or 2 to a corrosive bile.
Yeah, not too bad. But the rest of the army isn't really with this as it
No.
then gets whittled down. I think when you're dealing with stuff like the burrowing roaches, you kind of need to be so overwhelming that they all get burrowed and you just start to ignore them and go after the rest of the
Yeah.
army. But then they kind of appear in the backfield like this and screw up the rest of your control, because you could tell that army both wants to go forward and back.
Yeah, that's where Kanana really gets the efficiency with the roaches, is in those small skirmishes. Now, Void Rays are helping out, dealing with these lings on the ground. There is Hydras and Ravagers dropping Corrosive Biles, trying to pick those off. Sharpened Edge, I think it's just taking one prolonged sort of not optimal fight here.
Yeah.
And that may result in it getting whittled down. There is a 4th base on the way for the red Protoss. So, like, there is a world in which Sharpened Edge can hold on, potentially build up to 200 supply, and maybe give Kanana a run for its money.
Yeah.
But if it does just keep poking out like this and just constantly engaging this Zerg army, that's not going to give it the chance to build up that it needs.
Yeah, very much so. I think you need to assemble basically a wall of the immortals.
Yes.
I think, to make this a sustainable push forward. And yeah, now that we're seeing even those get knurled, yeah, that's not a good sign.
No, and then it has thrown away so much supply that it's having a difficult time defending this 4th base. Now the Immortal is a traitor, which Sharpened Edge wants to deal with immediately. Neural Parasite on the Void Rays, and everything is going down as Kanana does just play a solid macro game and bring down Sharpened Edge. Very well done.
Yeah. Yeah, Kanana great with the neural parasites. You think that you're getting strong units finally up and built, and Kanana's like, you mean my units?
Yeah.
And takes everything, and just kind of the ability to mass neural like a whole group of things, and then immediately jump on them, have them attack each other. Kanana can use abilities of units that it neurals, things like that. So yeah, definitely good code. And on the flip side, very often a bot author will kind of determine, should I attack my own unit if it's knurled or not? And in this case, Sharpened Edge does. So
yeah, I think Sharpened
stuff.
Edge's response is just a not response to that.
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
just
these
is
are enemy
the other
units.
guy's unit. Yeah,
They gotta die. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, Kanana taking that fairly commandingly. I think there's just kind of, in both games, no real response to the burrow part of things. And right when Sharpened Edge, kind of at the very first part of a fight there looked like it was going to get some momentum. The burrows kind of pop up in the back. You get to the middle of the map, things are spread all over the place, and you just lose that momentum. It peters out, and units get picked off and things like that. And then once Kanana makes the later game switch to infestors and stuff, you're kind of stuck without really a plan.
Yeah, the age, like, and the amount of work that was put into the late game was apparent there. It is a tough draw for SharpenedEdge because Caninana is, I think, the best late game bot. So it's a bit of a tough draw there, but well done to Caninana. Glad to see it move on to the round of 8. It got knocked out of the previous AIArena.net tournament fairly early on, so I'm glad to see that it's doing well here.
Yeah, indeed, and getting knocked down to the loser side early on, but trying to claw its way back up. We're going to go into match number 2 next, which is going to be Zozo versus TyrT. Zozo, we typically have had be a worker rush bot and then a zealot rush bot, but has now just transitioned into macro games, maybe, or at least it did last week.
Yeah, it definitely has that capability to go from those cheeses into a macro game. Sometimes it does just play like a general gateway aggressive Protoss style.
Yeah.
Now, Zozo by Team Cheese.
Yeah.
Programmed in Python with 5 ProBots appearances. It's been in the scene quite a while. It is quite a contender these days, and yeah, I think it's going to be a great match between these two.
Yeah, it's done very well, and we'll zoom in on Zozo here. And right says, focused on cheese strategies in the early game. Zozo often used tactics like probe rushes and proxy zealot rushes, but apparently is transitioning a little more out of that sort of thing. Weaknesses are facing an opponent playing random, which we did see last week against Cena. So obviously you can't be as sharp on some specific cheeses. And I think this is part of the reason why maybe it's transitioning a bit, is it was originally made to be a sparring partner to kind of practice worker rushes, but then the worker rushes turned out to be really good. So it just became a bot in and of itself. So maybe the author's now wanting to be like, okay, well, let's explore more of the other things over time.
Yeah, Zozo is quite good. Now, we've got a bot I'm very excited for, Tyr by Infinite Probability Drive. Tyr can use a variety of strategies and tries to pick a build that the opponent is weak against. So it does have that memory.
Yes.
And it has a lot of builds to choose from my understanding. So
yes.
Who knows what it's going to do today. Not all builds are as optimized as they could be. They have weaknesses or blind spots, although these are not necessarily the same between builds. So a lot of builds creates a lot of different scenarios. Tyr has a custom build runner, which allows us to come up with those builds very quickly. And yeah, it has 101,464 lines of code. Tyr knows 176 builds, 53 of them which are for Terran. Tyr ran successfully on the ladder for the first time May 7th, 2018, making it 6 years old. It's actually 7 now, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, Tyr is a bot I'm very excited for today. I think it's cool to see an older bot coming back and looking quite well. So
yeah, indeed. And I think that is the largest code base, at least the largest one that mentions it by about double. Another bot last week mentioned 56,000 lines of code. But yeah, Tyr, all 3 races have been around for a long time.
Yeah. I find it interesting how most of its builds are Protoss, but we only see TyrT these days.
Yeah. Yeah, the first few years of ProBots, it was TyrP that we were seeing, and but now they've switched. That used to be when it was single author, so now it is a team that is doing it together. And yeah, we've gotten TyrT for the last few seasons. The whole bot itself is just it's all 3 of them. So, but it just chooses for the tournament.
Yeah, we are on Interloper for game number 1 between these two bots. And, yeah, let's jump on into it.
Let's go.
Zozo. Tyr.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot since Drekken isn't here to do so. Do we have a prediction for this one?
I think that I would say probably Tyr, but I kind of don't know. Like, it looks like Zozo's probably going back to Zealot Flower here. So does Tyr have something to deal with that? But I'd imagine it does. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's not walling off or anything, though.
I'm going to say 2-1 for Zozo. That's my prediction for this one. Now, Zozo does send out 2 probes to do the Zealot Flower. I guess one to poke on in, maybe try and deny a potential wall off. Tyr is scouting, and it hasn't seen anything. We do get that pylon building to prevent the Terran wall. Tyr has 2 racks on the way. Now, that extra production from the second racks could be very helpful, but I think the most important thing will be to see a bunker, as the cat is out of the bag for this one.
Now, it doesn't seem to have gone for the 4 gateway flower.
No, it threw down an extra pylon, which might have blocked the other position for the 4th gateway. Now, Tyr does have that first rack is done. However, a Marine just starts up now. No barracks. Second racks finishes up. Do we get a second Marine? Yes, we do. The problem is it's triple Zealot production that's going to be coming towards Tyr. So I think some SCVs are going to have to get drafted in order to make this defense happen.
Yeah, first Zealot is spotted, but yeah, like you said, 3 more in production the whole time. I think separating them out like this is going to be key.
Yes.
Yeah. So that he really needs to get fire on one and really keep the numbers low as much as possible. Taking damage on the Marines is not great.
No, those SCVs are choking really nicely, though. Yeah. And the main thing is whether Tyr can get up to, say, like 3, 4, 5 Marines and just have enough firepower to kill those Zealots quickly before they kill too many SCVs. Now, this is scary, though, as there is a lot of Zealots coming up this ramp. SCVs are being pulled into that choke point very nicely. Marines are kiting back. SCVs are retreating as well, so not just needlessly dying, which is nice. I do believe a Marine did perish during that, though. Another one does pop out. Another one goes down. So the Marine count remains 4, which is precariously low as Zealots are coming in. The worker count is very low for Tyr.
Marines not attacking the Zealots at the ramp because of the pylon.
Pylon, doing a good job soaking there.
So he's running out of SCVs is the problem.
He is. Now, Tyr is up to 5, 6 Marines, which is a lot of firepower to kill Zealots that are just trickling out. And Tyr's actually going after this right now. And only 1 Zealot is out. As long as it doesn't lose any of these Marines, that's very important. It does lose 1. It's producing 2 more. Just don't lose another one to the Zealot. And there is a world in which Tyr can snowball against this. It's trying to push down that ramp. The Zealots are coming out just quick enough to force these Marines back. And another Marine going down is a big, big loss.
Yeah, and it's running in front if it can get
this
pylons,
is
but
so dangerous.
Yeah, this is the problem. These are not being replaced, and the Marines are not going to be built super fast. He's kind of on a stalemate on that.
It really is,
Yeah, and if he loses 1 each time, because now he's down to 4. This is not enough. He's going to lose 1 more.
Yeah. I mean, it's that thing in a contained environment. The Marines could fan out perfectly, but that's not what we're having here because the Marines are sort of backing into each other, and that's allowing the Zealots to actually kill some of them off. And that Zealot does get yet another Marine, but then another one pops out. These two are just in like
very synced. Okay, another one on the way. If he was able to selectively pull back better, then a lot more could spread out. This one, he's just trading one for
going
one.
Down.
And trading 1 Marine for 1 Zealot sounds fine because it's the Zealot costs more.
Oh, and that
but
Zealot
yeah,
pops
no,
out
this
on the
is
right
a trap.
side
You're gonna
too.
lose too. Yeah.
That Zealot popping out like on top of that Marine instead of like on the other side of the gateway or something is big. Now that pylon is getting low. However, there's 2 pylons on that. And now there's 2 Zealots out, which is causing a lot of problems as Tyr will lose 1 Marine. Does it lose a second? No. There's a couple that are very low on HP. Another Zealot does pop out. Those Marines do need to retreat. Does just 1 go down or 2? 2 go down. So we're back to 4 Marines. This is ridiculous how long this cheese is going on for.
It's the biggest problem is no SCVs being added to the whole thing. So as long as that's the case, then this is never really going to change in the dynamic.
Now, Tyr is on top of the ramp for this Zealot coming in, as it did get pushed back, which sometimes can actually work out in favor of the defender, because now it's back up to 5 Marines. But 2 Zealots are about to pop out here, so this is a very risky situation. Zozo's transitioning,
this totally
though.
changes. Yeah, it totally changes the situation here. So now if these pylons go down, but is Tyr then going to transition out? So if this is now canceled and we're going to something else, then SCV production has to resume.
Tyr for now is just producing those Marines and working away on these gateways. There is a world in which it could potentially counterattack, as Zozo has virtually 0 production now. It's got literally 0 production and only 3 Zealots. So if Tyr just builds up Marines and then counterattacks, it could potentially just win the game. But if it does start transitioning, that's where it could get a little rocky, as it is starting from just 5 workers.
Yeah, we'll see when these buildings die. Do they just try and walk across? Because, I think that is basically the only option at this point. And if you've got a good group, like you said, then that could work.
Go home.
No.
Do we get an SCV or another Marine belt? Just more Marines.
Yeah, pity there, because it is a big opportunity. There's no real defense here at all. So yeah, good enough group of Marines would easily take this out, and 16, 17 is a pretty good group.
Yeah, that's the difficulty of programming a bot. Like, you program your bot for having this standard build order that doesn't get interrupted, and then all of a sudden your bot's on 5 SCVs. It is not an easy thing to program your bot to recover from that or have perfect logic. We do get an SCV produced from Tyr, so it is easing off the Marine production now.
Yeah, but Zozo adding 2 Nexuses. Yeah.
So Zozo has almost as many bases as Tyr has workers.
Yeah, not ideal.
No, so...
Yeah, and we're getting Tyr, of course, trying to continue its builds, puts down a supply depot. Obviously, if it was at full economy, that makes sense, because you're going to hit supply before it's done. But in this one, where you're not building anything, really, you're not, and it just delays the continued.
That is a good point. Now, we do get more Marines being produced from Tyr, so like, it's still building up an army. It's still got a big enough army that it could go threaten Zozo, but that's not going to last for long, as Zozo's producing 2 Stalkers and 2 Nexus and a Fleet Beacon. Tyr does move out, though, so it is looking to get aggressive with, gosh, how many Marines is that? That's
22.
22 Marines, okay. So... Tyr will be getting aggressive against Zozo. Now, Zozo has very good micro on its units, though, so there is a world in which it can just whittle these Marines down. It also has a battery at the natural and a bunch of probes to pull, which Zozo is always willing to do. So Tyr will need some very good micro itself, as the Blue Terran just marches in, and it's pretty much make or break on this attack. And it's just...
What are you doing?
Going for the workers, I guess, as Zealots and Stalkers are getting so much damage done on these Marines. And the Marine micro is not good here from Tyr, as they're trying to get the workers and ignoring the army, which means this has been a failure.
Yeah, I think especially since Zozo's army actually moved away from the shield battery to start with,
Yeah.
that was a big opportunity to take out the zealots in front. So yeah, that's unfortunate because even though late, that still had a chance.
Yeah. It, yeah, a bit unfortunate for tier. Like, pretty good programming all around, but Zozo's cheese is just so lethal and
It's
was
such
able
a
to kill off
weird
enough workers.
situation, like you said. Like you don't think who thinks I'm going to defend a zealot rush for 7 minutes and then transition to something like it's just not something you're going to specifically program in. And because it happened so early, very often a lot of the bot authors will like they make adaptive stuff later, but the first like 2-3 minutes of the game are like this on this supply and the like you're trying to optimize that build so it's not fuzzy. They
Yeah.
have distinct things, and I think that may be what happened there. Of like at 26 supply, I put down a supply depot. At this, I do this, and I think some of that's probably locked in, so it doesn't adapt well to when you've got this weird situation that shouldn't be occurring. And I think a lot of bots too, and we've heard some authors even talk about this of like, there's a situation where you're like, if my cheese kind of works, but I fail I don't even have a backup plan or like I don't have a contingency for that because it's not worth coding. It's kind of in a situation where if you told me the state 7 minutes and 30 seconds into the game is I have 5 workers and 7 Marines, then I lost anyway, right? So why would I continue to code down this path? Like that would often be what the thinking is. And so it's just a matter of where do you allocate your time as an author into the bot.
That's one thing bot authors don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Now it is time to jump into game number 2 on Acropolis.
Zozo. Tier.
Apparently that's a graphic bug that you can get rid of if you start the replay and then press the rewind right at the start.
Interesting.
With that big ship, and then it gets rid of it.
I like it. leave it.
I'm just gonna park here.
How does that? I don't think I've seen like units try and path through it. Does it just?
Oh yeah,
go over
it's
top
just,
of it.
It's just a visual glitch, so it just isn't great for us as observers. Now there is a pylon going up inside the main base of tier 3. SCVs are pulled to chase these probes away. And this probe is making a mad dash to try and build that. Fortunately for tier, the SCVs are staying on top of that probe, which is actually going to get repelled. So this is a very good start from tier, just with a simple 3 SCV pull in order to chase these probes away. One gateway does get started. The other one gets interrupted as the probe flees for its life. And we do eventually get a second one down, but tier has got a big head start on this one.
Yeah, and you can't underreact to this. Again, Zozo was originally a worker rush bot, so you definitely want to be responding to probes coming into the area, and not underreacting. Now, I don't know that I would continue to make a wall with this stuff already in your base. But
Tier's like, I'm building a wall. I'm going to be safe. It does start up a bunker in a very interesting position. No more probes will be able to get in here. The first Marine is out, and it is shooting at that pylon, and it's got
a lot of time.
Yeah, it's got a lot of time. SCVs are attacking another one of the pylons, so the SCVs and the Marine are not attacking the same target. Now, will this Marine load into that bunker as soon as that bunker's done? That's the big question here.
Yeah, there's 2 more reinforcement Marines coming as well.
Okay, there's the bunker done. Okay, that is so good for tier, because if the Zealot just attacks that bunker, there's even an SCV on the other side of that, which may repair. The Zealot pops out, and an SCV elects to fight it, but that Zealot's dead. 2 more Marines just popped out. Lots of SCVs are being pulled into this, which may or may not be needed, but still, this is phenomenal for tier.
Yeah, this is almost an ideal situation of, like, whether it had to be a wall or not doesn't matter, but the bunker being there just makes this unassailable. And And in a sense, not getting the pylon itself right away is almost better because he's now losing minerals every time it makes a zealot. But
Yeah.
the SCV sacrificing himself, which obviously we know is not necessary, is unfortunate.
Yeah, looks like that pylon will go down soon, which is a nice start to cleaning this up for Tier. Looks like those Marines are actually not properly pathing
No.
towards that. 2 Zealots do pop out, so another SCV or 2 may die. Lots more SCVs pulled off the line. They're cleaned up pretty quickly, though, and one of those gateways is actually going to go down prior to that second pylon, which is interesting.
Yeah. that was
10
right through.
SCVs is a lot of losses. Zozo has had those gateways unpowered, so it should be transitioning at some point here. But for now, it is not.
Yeah, just kind of accumulating up. Does it need to lose all these before it realizes? Yeah, it's going now.
A little bit late on the transition from
Yeah.
Zozo. I think it was. I'm not sure if it was still trying to get another probe to like repower those or something. It didn't
Yeah.
look like it because none were sent across the map. So it would have been
Depending where they
nice.
click to, like, of course, it was walled.
Yes.
So if you try and click into the other location, it may have been failing. But
Yeah.
a good hold, obviously.
Yeah, not to like the transition for Zozo wasn't super late,
Yeah.
but it is still in a very risky position. If Tier counterattacked right now, it would most likely win the game.
Yeah.
And it is in a much better spot as it's got 16 workers instead of the 5, which it did previously. Tier is building a worker, building a couple Marines, a depot. What's it going to do? Will it just go for that Marine move out when it did the last one when it had 20 Marines in game number 1, and it's very close to that number already. So is that what Tier needs in order to get up the confidence to attack?
Yeah, quite possibly. And I think this time, definitely would work, although it's decision making when it did that to just go and attack the probes.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of a concern. If it repeats that sort of thinking, there's not going to be a lot of gateway units, but there's going to be some.
Oh, there it does.
Yeah,
There it
okay.
goes.
22 army supply.
22
exactly
is the number. Now, 4 of those Marines are sitting inside the bunker still and are not joining with this. So this attack is weaker than it could have been. The Zozo does have a battery building. It's got 2 stalkers, but it's got much less of an army to defend than it did in game number 1.
Yeah, it won't necessarily actually be a losing strategy to go after just the probes because it could get so many of them in the time that it takes 2 or 3 stalkers to kill everything.
Yeah, Tier is floating a lot of money behind this too, so we'll see if we get a command center built, as it's still just focused on building Marines out of its 2 barracks. There is 3 stalkers. Marines are moving forward, shooting a little bit, and they are actually engaging the stalkers this time. Now probes are being pulled into the fight. The Marines are diving very far forward, and those probes actually deal a fair bit of damage. There's that beautiful probe micro from Zozo with the battery overcharge. I don't think he lost like a worker there.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think he basically, it was all for that one stalker.
Yeah, that was so well done by Zozo, and that is the risk of trying to attack into Zozo when it's got it. Like, it just works so well with its probe micro, comboed with a battery and a few stalkers shooting. That's where Zozo really exceeds in defense.
Yeah, and now just kind of like cheese failed, transition to the late game, basically. Just I wonder what the thinking is behind the first game, attack only probes, and then this game, it just feels uncharacteristic of Tier. Like we don't see that sort of bad army control usually. So why in this particular case does it choose to do that?
I don't know. All I can say is that it definitely is a mistake. Your Marines are in range of a stalker. Why are they still walking forward into a bunch of probes?
Yeah.
Marines are ranged units. They should be shooting, not running forward to hit them with their gun. So, yes, now Tier is in a very difficult position. It's half the workers of its opponent. It does have 2 bases. It is producing tanks. And one thing that Tier does do quite well is build up into those big 200 supply Terran armies. So there is a world in which Zozo gives Tyr enough time to build up an army. Then maybe Zozo fears Tyr's army enough that it isn't going to just try and kill it right away. So, like, Tyr's in trouble. It's not dead
Yeah.
yet, though.
Yeah, which is a shame off the almost ideal opening. Yeah, like just to shut that down so well. Lost again, even though it came out a lot better on SCV count, had it not lost an additional like 10 SCVs that it did not have to.
Yeah.
Like the SCVs didn't have to engage that at all.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Now, Tyr is going to try another attack, and this is very concerning as it's only got one siege tank. A probe does actually pull Tyr back, which may potentially save Tyr's life, as it does not want to be attacking right now into Zozo's stalkers.
Yeah, nor the Tempest
No,
at that point, which would be the natural enemy of that tank. It may go and hit the 4th if it happens to see it.
Yeah, we'll see if Tyr actually retreats with this. Looks like it is just going right towards the natural of its opponent. And Zozo sees this. The tank and Marines are moving towards that 4th base. The tanks are sieging. However, there is the Tempest that can just whittle this down. Tyr's trying to kill the pylon as some stalkers do appear down the ramp. This is a bit unfortunate for Tyr, but it does seem that Zozo will just crush this and then probably be able to take the game. We're getting very late orbital commands from Tyr, and yeah, I think the only way that Tyr was going to win this game was to build up to that 200 supply tanks, Vikings sort of thing, and it is not trying to do that. It's trying to get a win, and yeah, that is not very good.
Yeah, I think Zozo does the right thing when it does decide to transition, which is if you fail the cheese, you have to acknowledge that if somebody attacks you right away, there's probably very little you can do about it.
Yeah.
So when you transition, it's not how do I defend myself in the next minute? It's how do I get ahead of them 3 minutes from now? And that's kind of the thing it does, which is like, okay, I'm defending from a cheese. I'm going to 4 base. I'll put like 1 shield battery and that's it. And then go to late game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it did quite well. And Tyr, unfortunately, like, it's transitioning now, but it's still attacking.
Yeah.
Like, it's getting up a starport and upgrades for the Marines, which would have been very helpful. But, like, there was a world in which if it hadn't gone for that suicidal attack, it could have potentially held because it would have had 4 tanks, probably like 30, 40 Marines. But now it's just got nothing, and Zozo will roll it over. So, well done by the Red Protoss bot.
Indeed, and it's just clean up now. Even can't really tell what the reaction to the Tempest 2 was going to be because it just never really had anything to attack them with. But that's often something that people struggle with too. Getting Marines close enough to attack it even in the first
Tyr
place.
usually does build Vikings, so that's why I was sort of looking forward to that. But instead it just died. Anyway, that was our second match of the day, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys haven't already, make sure to click that like button, leave a comment on the video for engagement, subscribe, and consider checking out the membership program for ProBots, and you can check that out with the join button down below.
Indeed. And we are going to cut to a 5-minute break. Don't go anywhere, but it's a good time to do all the stuff that he said. And we are back here on week 5 of season 1 of 2025 of ProBots. We are in the consolation match, and we are on match 3 of the day. We've got BenBot versus Aeolus here. I'm Endersword, joined by Laughin' Games.
Hello, hello.
How'd you find those first 2 matches of the day?
They were good matches. I was hoping for a little bit more of a fight from Tyr, if I'm being honest. But that's just the way it rolls when you've got bots that are so darn good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes you don't just need the cheese defense, you need the transition from the cheese defense,
Mhm.
and it didn't quite work out there. So going on to Benbot versus Aeolus. Actually, let's take a look, if we can, at the brackets of how we got here. And can see that Benbot was knocked down to this consolation match by Changeling, which is the random bot from the author of Eris, Deimos, and Phobos, and will now be playing another like Greek sounding thing with Aeolus, who has beaten Phantom Bot to come back into the consolation match. Benbot, a really fairly much dynamic Terran bot that's like really good at defense, has a lot of good early ways to win games. And Aeolus actually new this season, so don't know as much there.
Yeah, and then on the other side of the bracket, we have got Ketroc falling down from the winners match after a very great series versus -0, and it will be playing GPT, which was able to bring down a sort of similar bot, the big bot, which it kind of relies on timing attacks like GPT, but GPT triumphed there. And now it will have to see if it can overcome Ketroc, which it was unable to do in the first match of the group. So yeah, some very exciting matches coming up.
Indeed. I think both of these will be fairly decent. Aeolus, we haven't, like I said, seen a whole ton of, but I'm curious how it's going to respond to certain things. A Benbot in particular tends to open up against a lot of bots with a bit of a bunker contain. So I think that'll be interesting always to see how particularly new bots that we haven't seen as much before react to that sort of thing. Some new bots either do nothing at all or they overreact and lose 20 probes trying to get rid of a bunker or something like that. So often how you respond to that sort of like light, it's barely even cheese the way that Benbot does it because there's no real commitment to it, but how you respond to that sort of thing is very telling. Can we take a look at the attributes of said bots, formerly stats? Benbot is a Java bot, which has been around for quite a while here now. It originally, as the name indicates, began as a battle cruise rushing bot, so it would try and go right up to BCs. But it originally tried to do that in pretty much like the early mid game by rushing right there. Now it's more that it's trying to survive into a late game where BCs aren't really a rush, but are the backbone of the army. So it has a lot of ways to survive to that. Weak against Thors and Tempest. Obviously BCs are. And it saves game results and then uses that info to decide what builds to use. It does seem to selectively determine, should I be doing this bunker rush proxy, etc., or what, or just go on the defensive side. So it makes some decisions there. And it's also, a bit old. All the bots are old now. Even the ones that I think of as kind of our newer ones that weren't in like the first, like say 5 seasons, are all old now. But it's one of the ones that I think has had the most linear progression because everything is just an iteration off the previous thing. It's never deviated wildly.
Yeah, Benbot, he says it there that he's works on it constantly, and that is true. Like every time I check AI Arena, pretty much there's an update from the bot author, and usually it's not something that you can clearly see, but it's just gotten a lot better over time. And yeah, Benbot really is a bot that's had a lot of love and work put into it just so consistently. And then on the other side, we've got, is it Aeolus or is it Aeolus?
That's what I've been saying, but I've been saying Aeolus, but I don't know. It might be Aeolus. Everything that sounds Greek or ancient Roman, we're all saying wrong.
Exactly.
But it's just what you like saying. Because like I'm not going to say like Julius Caesar because that just sounds lame.
Yeah, we'll have to ask the bot author at some point. But yeah, Aeolus, it is a bot that's sort of come roaring out into the scene, with it hitting the ladder not too long ago, December 17th, 2024. So a very young bot, all things considered, particularly compared to BenBot. And Aeolus, it is a bot focused on establishing a strong economy and primarily building stalkers to overwhelm its opponent. That's something that it does very, very good. Aeolus lacks detection and is highly vulnerable to cloaked units like Dark Templars, Banshees, or Burrowed Roaches. It also struggles against massed units that trade efficiently into stalkers, such as tanks or Zerglings, often losing its army and getting overwhelmed. So Aeolus, it's a bot that does what it does very well, stalker aggression, but it hasn't had those holes necessarily filled that comes with time in most bots. Aeolus contains no hard-coded logic. All building placement are computed at runtime, yet it consistently walls off its main and natural chokes perfectly with precise calculations, so very good programming to be dynamic, so it should just be plug and play on new maps potentially. In-game decisions are powered by a newly implemented combat sim manager, the same one used by the renowned Micro Machine, which is definitely tested well. And I'm proud to share that Aeolus is the fastest bot in the tournament, averaging a step time of 1 millisecond, so very efficient. The speed is largely thanks to using K-dimensional trees to find nearby units in the grid, avoiding slower looped checks. So a very efficient bot. And yeah, I'm very excited for Aeolus going forward, as it is a very, it's top 10 on the ladder, yet it's only, what, like 6 months old, something like that?
Yeah.
So very, very impressive. Now, one thing I will say is that Aeolus it's open source. You can download it on your GitHub and run it, which could potentially be a hard lesson that the bot author could learn, because in theory, if BenBot's author wanted to, they could have downloaded, tested the bot, and been able to just see that their bot wins 100% of the games potentially. So
yeah,
that,
always a risk there, which is something Micro Machine used to do as well. It was available to everyone, and people then pretty hard sniped it in a lot of cases.
And that could happen to Aeolus today. I wouldn't put it past BenBot. He's someone who does look at specific matchups against other bots and say, hey, I'm not doing well against this bot, and runs a few custom games. So anyway, I'm still very looking forward to this match to see how Aeolus handles something like BenBot's bunker rush that it does so well. And yeah, I'm just very exciting to have a new bot here in ProBots.
Yeah, and I think the approach that you're mentioning there of like it climbs so fast because a lot of thought was put into what the base of it is. I think when people start, like obviously especially if you don't know so much about this stuff, then you're going to start with make it functional and then kind of iterate from there. So, but putting a lot of time into kind of what your base is going to be to that and how it's going to run and how you're doing things like pathfinding and combat and whatever, and really putting the work into the foundation of it before building, I think is going to make it easier, obviously, to do stuff later. It's just obviously a more time consuming and effort based start when, obviously the first thing you want to do is like, let's get something up and running and see, like, that's the fun of it. See seeing your bot work. So
yeah, the bot author rightly tooted their own horn a little bit there with how efficient their bot runs. And that's something that's difficult to maintain maybe as the projects go on and grow and that kind of thing. But yeah, we are ready for game number 1 here on Abyssal Reef between these two.
So how do I fix this? All right, here we are. SCV out.
Okay, we are back. And that SCV looks a little suspicious, blocking the Nexus location. That SCV was just like, hey, I'm going to park here. And this is another really good test. Oh, no. Aeolus is like, oh, thanks for moving that SCV guy. Now I can build my Nexus.
This is a little odd, though, because there's not a proxy barracks with this.
No,
it's just the bunker.
This is one of the decisions that BenBot makes sometimes. If it finds that the proxy doesn't work against certain bots, it will just go for the less committed version.
Yeah.
Now, that Marine is still crossing the map. The bunker's still getting up. There wasn't a probe pull or anything to shut that down. And that could be very problematic for the blue Protoss bot.
Yeah, it is going to have time. There was no zealot started or anything like that. So this guy will have time to just walk completely across the map, get into that bunker. And like you said, it's not a commitment of really any kind.
Yes, and this is one of the things that BenBot really thrives in. Sometimes there's a new bot that hits the ladder and like it'll take down the top dog, but BenBot is usually pretty bulletproof in regards to that because he does play this sort of bunker tank style early on that is really strong against cheeses. Now, Aeolus does have a Twilight Council on the way. It's building multiple gateways and just trying to ignore its problems, which, I don't know, maybe some of us can relate to. As Marines are crossing the map, the Nexus is being shot. This is just an example of how Aeolus isn't that developed of a bot. It's like a dodo bird. It evolved on evolved on an island, and next thing you know, Darwin's walking up and is just going to strangle the dodo because it doesn't know what to do. And yeah, that's a bit unfortunate, but there is still a world where Aeolus will be able to get out some stalkers and clean up this bunker and then potentially counterattack, as a Nexus has a lot of HP.
Yeah, for sure. If it wasn't for losing the probe coming out on the wrong side several times, then this really isn't doing a lot of damage. It's kind of covering the high probes here that want to take gas or something, and it's taking those out. But yeah, the clock here is pretty long.
Yeah.
That there is no reason to panic about this. And if this was part of a deliberate plan to hold up things and then just attack the bunker when you're ready, then that would be fine. It's not. So yeah, we got it's okay. We wanted to see it twice. The probe coming down the ramp is important.
No, the probe popping out on the wrong side definitely is problematic.
Really,
That's just another one of those little quality of life things as a bot author that you need to take care of to improve your general efficiency. And then, like, it's not like the probe popping out on the right side is a solution to a bunker rush, but it's just one of those little things that can help you out over time. The probes do have behavior to avoid the threats we see, like they're trying to run away from the Marine and the bunker, but for now, Aeolus is just totally stuck. Like, it's not producing any units.
Yeah.
It's just building workers, so it makes me wonder if this bot has some sort of worker threshold it needs to hit before it starts producing units.
Yeah, it may even be something like, I think it wanted to take gases or something, and it may be wanting to do that first, but it's not responding.
It's got gases, but, well, like, it's got gas, it's got resources, just it's hit the wall. It is supply blocked. It's building 2 pylons in the main. Maybe it'll make some stalkers once this gets handled, but yeah, this is a tough lesson, and hopefully it will motivate the bot author to solve BenBot's bunker rush.
Yeah, it just kind of did not obviously react to this, which is not necessarily wrong. You can let the bunker get up if you then have a follow-up plan, but it obviously didn't have any such plan. And the tank will come and join this. And BenBot is constantly looking for the way to do the most disruptive thing in the least costly way. And that's kind of what this whole thing is. It's like the bunker goes up. If it gets stopped, nothing's lost, nothing's proxied. It's not delaying the economy back home, anything like that. It's a very minor commitment.
Aeolus just totally broke here and is not producing any units, so it's just a matter of time till BenBot wins this game. So very unfortunate, but I'm okay fast forwarding. As,
This is the fast forwarded version, despite the fact that nothing appears to be happening. There he's going up now as the first BC came out.
Yeah, so well done by BenBot. And that's exactly what this proxy bunker is. It's a test for most bots on the ladder. And Aeolus wasn't able to pass it this time. Maybe game 2 will be different. Maybe not.
Yeah, you get things, different map, different situation, different locations of things, cause different reactions. stuff like that. It was a very in-your-face bunker, like basically touching the Nexus.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Game number 2 shall be Thunderbird. And yeah, Aeolus, we'll see if it does anything different or not, but the bot author may need to take a lesson from, say, Caninana, who we saw earlier today. Caninana always had a drone assigned to a probe in its base. You can do the same thing with an SCV that you see, and that would have potentially interrupted the bunker. It's a lot of work to program as a bot author, but if Aeolus wants to shut something like this down a little easier, that's something that will need to be done.
Yeah, very much so. It's again, one of those just bars to entry that in order to compete, you have to be able to deal with this sort of thing, and we'll see if it has a different response on Thunderbird.
BenBotBC. Aeolus.
Whether Aeolus wins today or not, it will win the prize for the happiest portrait of
Very
all the
true.
bots.
Very true. Very content little catty cat.
Oh, a forge.
Okay. Okay.
So this is something I think I've seen from Aeolus. It'll just go for like a Nexus after this, and I don't actually know if it builds a cannon with this build or not.
It seems like that would be relevant.
It would be. I think I remember scratching my head at
yeah.
this in a cast previously, so I think it's just going to go for a Nexus and then use the Forge for +1 or something down the line. Okay, it is getting attacked. Probe, fight! Fight! No! Don't just stand there like a dodo.
Give up.
Oh, yeah. It has 0 survival instinct on that probe. It is sending down another one, which is good. Oh, and this probe wants the smoke, but then, like, they want to fight, but they just don't know how.
Then they stop. They want the first hit.
They didn't even get an actual attack off, though. Oh, this SCV is just a fox in a hen house, apparently. As Aeolus will send this probe down, and it wants to build a cannon. Okay.
Okay.
And a gateway. And then a Nexus.
It's got the money.
And another cannon. Okay, cool.
All right, so we may have something going this time. At the very least, the bunker itself won't win.
Okay, now the question is, will that cannon kill the SCV or not? Yes, it will. So this is effectively a hold of the initial rush.
Now, minerals are still piling up. No gas has been taken by Aeolus. So I don't know what's broken there exactly. I mean, are we just going to get a cyber? And
Yeah, I think it wants to wait for the cyber before it goes for a Nexus.
Yeah.
And there it goes.
Good spot. Yeah.
Now, Zealot's being produced, so this Marine shouldn't be able to kill the Forge. I say shouldn't.
We've seen that a lot of Aeolus units are pacifists.
And the Zealot is included. The Zealot says, I am a door.
Yeah.
There's another Zealot on the way.
The second one. Will the first one be dead by the time this one pops? Okay.
Oh.
Now we're going to go kind of.
Okay.
Nope. We're just going to go somewhere else.
This other Marine will go down. And Benbot is building another bunker, which is next level. There's no Stalker being produced from Aeolus yet. It does have the gas now, but it's not building one. So it's probably saving up gas for a Twilight, if I had to assume at this point. And there's the Twilight, but the bunker's up. And the Cyber Core and Gateway are in a lot of trouble here.
Yes, the cannon just a little bit too far back to help with any of this. But the Forge being the first target is probably not the worst thing.
No, definitely not. If that warp gate can finish up, that would
Yeah.
definitely be a big deal. The concern is that BenBot may have a tank coming behind this at some point.
Yeah, usually does make its way in, which would then help with the cannons in the back. Forge does fall,
Okay.
but I think we're going to get the warp gate, finished.
Yeah, there's a
it's
chrono on it, which is good. And we do actually have a stalker being produced this game. So that's nice from Aeolus. Looks like a probe was trying to run out to produce that third base. Warp gate does finish up, so we do have 2 stalkers being produced. BenBot is going for a third base. Yeah, very interesting scenario. Will Aeolus rebuild the cyber core? Pardon me. That remains to be seen. Stalker wants to kill this marine, runs into all that firepower. Now, like, Aeolus does have very good building placement for a bot that uses dynamic placement.
Yeah.
So it did rebuild the forge on the high ground, so I'm hoping we see the Twilight rebuild as well. Or not the Twilight, the Cyber Core.
Cyber,
Pardon me.
yeah.
And there's another gateway, but no Cyber Core yet.
And I'm kind of looking, I think the tank is now coming across. So once that gets up, then the cannons become in trouble. And there's the fusion core. BC will join this eventually.
And yeah, those do get unpowered. It's like the probe wants to build another pylon, but that gets shut down. There is no new cyber core. And you need a cyber core in order to build those stalkers. And so Aeolus is just adding in more gateways now. And trying to rebuild that. Yeah, this is painful.
Yeah, kind of a shame because of the initial stop, but then just kind of move back a few feet, and the exact same thing still works. And there's just really no recognition of what the threat is, and no adaptation around what to do about it.
Yeah, and I mean, some bots do have very good success when it comes to using just like solid builds that aren't flexible. But Aeolus, like, this one just needs to be a little safer, maybe build the cannons a little bit further to the front, and then it would have been fine potentially, but not in this game. Probes are getting killed as the tank gets some big shots off, and yeah, BenBot is able to advance.
Yeah, pretty handling this one. Again, the bunker's such a minimal commitment. It's not meant to be an all-in of any kind, but it just wins
Oh yeah,
a lot of the time, and yeah, we get joined by the BC.
behind this
again.
BenBot has 4 bases. It's building battle cruisers, and it is a very nice touch that it does try and build the bunker a second time.
Yeah.
Like, whether that succeeds against a bot that actually has a response to something like that, probably not. But in this case, it worked, going for that second bunker. So well done, BenBot.
Yeah, there we go. So Aeolus, I think, again, like you said, built on a good foundation, but when you run into some stuff like this, if there's just no response to it, then we don't really get to see that actually play out. So there we go. BenBot advances. Aeolus, hopefully we will see next season. And we're transitioning into match number 4, our last of the day.
Yeah.
And here we're going to have a Ketroc up against GPT, the general purpose Terran. So we're going to get a TVT. Ketroc is a very patient, methodical bot that uses some, I guess, they're almost unorthodox things that have become orthodox. Like Mass Raven is a thing, Mass Banshee's a thing, just slow tank pushes, things like that. A lot of bots have trouble dealing with it. It's something you have to, again, go to your way to specifically code how to deal with cloaked units and massed air and various things, and particularly stuff like auto turrets are really obnoxious. It's by default, a Raven doesn't appear like a threat because it's not an attacking unit, but it can create attacking units right in your face, and it's hard to predict when that's going to happen. And like, there's just a lot of mechanics associated with the Ravens that make them obnoxious.
Yeah, and I think my favorite thing about Ketroc is that it produces like it's got such a wide range of builds,
Hmm.
yet it plays at such a high level. Like
Yeah.
it does what it does very well. It is a ProBots victor
Yes.
previously,
Yeah.
2024 season 1, so not too long ago.
Yeah. And
Now,
yeah, been to the finals other times as well.
yeah, so Ketroc, strategy safe, macro oriented fan of Ravens, as we
Yep.
can tell by the portrait there. Weaknesses aggression, harassment, Eris.
Yeah,
We
makes
joked that
sense.
this may need to be updated for
Yeah.
-0, but everything coded from scratch so it won't share noticeable tendencies with other bots. In other words, its bugs are its own unique bugs. And if I get time, this season's focus will try to include drop harassment, anti-human strategies for humans versus bots. Ketroc is a very difficult bot to play against.
Yeah.
If you've ever tried using the humans versus bots app as trying to defend against its banshees, you end up building like 5 cannons and multiple batteries. As,
Yeah. Yeah, especially once it gets the Banshee speed, it's really obnoxious to
mhm.
try and chase down. GPT here. GPT goes for timing based attacks focused around upgrades. So, yeah, it tends to be a little more earlier
Mhm.
mid game oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah, so weakness is early game and late game, basically. So cheese in the late game because I'm developing my own framework. It's missing a lot of general logic with cheese and isn't developed enough to deal with the late game yet. So obviously is going to thrive a little more in the middle. I think that does make it hard to deal with Ketroc, which is yeah, is designed to just starve you out 80 minutes into the game. Um, Proud of GPT's performance. This is another one focused on calculation speed, taking 1 to 3 milliseconds per step on the ladder, and on on the author's PC, it can win a 15-minute match with only 25 seconds of computing time. All of this while processing the entire map and game state each match, as there's no hard-coded map data. So, yeah, another one that's more dynamic, I guess.
Yeah, very cool to see another dynamic bot. And that we do have lots of bots that have great algorithms programmed with like building placement, that kind of thing. And that is something that you do want to praise. We are going into game number 1 for Abyssal Reef momentarily, which I think can be a good map for GPT just to run across up that ramp potentially. At the same time, against Ketroc, which could have a tank or a bunker, maybe not so much. And yeah, I do find it cool to see that we do have dynamic building placement from GPT, and a lot
Yeah.
of the really good bots make use of that. But then we have -0 at the very top, which uses hard coded building placement,
Yeah.
which is just interesting. So,
Yeah, exactly. Both can work. One is obviously more future proofed in terms of like, well, if
yes.
you got a new map pool, you don't have to go through and do this all again. Um, but yeah, I always wonder though some of the underlying assumptions. Like if you've got a dynamic way to wall off, what if you were ever faced with a map that doesn't have a way to wall off? Or like most maps in StarCraft follow like certain rules,
Hmm.
but you don't have to follow it. Like someone could make that deviates from it, and how does it respond? We have seen in the past things where the even what's your natural was treated by distance.
Yeah.
So then on certain maps it treated the third as the natural because technically it was closer, even though it's closer by air, not by ground. So
Yeah.
let's hop into game number 1 and see some of that placement.
Katrock. GPT.
So yeah, Ketroc calling out the Raven Cyclone strategy here, which yeah is one of its options. The cyclones they've been something that a lot of the bot authors, like, you have to stay on top of it because they just kept changing them in the game. So the way that lock-ons work and firing works and
Yeah.
things like that have changed a lot over time. So some bots actually that haven't really been updated still struggle with some of that code or behavior, I guess.
That is definitely true, and Ketroc generally stays on top of his bot for the most part. For example, right now it's not active on the ladder, but we have seen it running pretty smoothly in our previous ProBot matches, so it holds up quite well. And yeah, I don't believe I was there for the previous best of 3 between Ketroc and GPT. Perhaps I was.
Yeah, I forget which week that was, but yeah, actually, Ketroc may have been here, as of course he does cast with us a bunch, which is always fun. He always tries to actually avoid his own games, but of course he's usually often in like the finals or the best of 4, like, so it's hard to do that by the end.
See, I don't have that problem of having a bot that good, so that's my strategy there. Now, yeah, let's see. We do have GPT playing its 2-base build, which is the big development in GPT because we previously had it come out. It was just a 1-base wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got this update, and it's like, oh my gosh, GPT is taking a 2nd base. So there has been some development there. Yeah. Now, whether its 2-base play is as deadly as its 1-base play sort of remains to be seen because, of course, it does give your opponent more time to build up and respond to your potential all-ins. We do have Ketroc building a command center in the high ground in its base, going for sort of like a 1-1-1 opening. And yeah, that is a choice that bot authors as Terran have the luxury of making. Do I build my CC on the low ground, or do I build it in the main and float it over? As that is something that can be very beneficial. At the same time, it could be costly, potentially, if Ketroc is delaying his own economy by not building that on the low ground in this game. Whereas he's going to need as much stuff as possible to defend against a timing from GPT.
Yeah, very true. And yeah, we'll try and kind of figure out what GPT's intended timing is. If one would assume maybe the stim timing itself. That's often something that both bots and human players will try and sync up to. And then you try and have kind of a certain number of tanks at the time that is completing. Combat shields is another thing that people will center around a little bit. So
yeah, we do have GPT producing a tank, producing Marines and stim, so it is a bot that will eventually go for a bio attack, but it's so different compared to what it does with its 1-base build. And it's maybe not as effective because Ketroc is having time to build tanks up, get up a Raven, potentially a planetary, as it's adding in 2 command centers now. It's already going up to a 4th base, which is ridiculously greedy against a bot like GPT, which is going for a timing attack. But if those bases are able to get up and turn into planetaries before GPT's attack, it's not easy to kill planetaries early on.
Yeah, there's definitely certain things that can just shut down this sort of approach. And the longer, it's always the case, the longer you go into a potential timing, the more entropy there is on the other side, the more potential there is that they're doing something unexpected or going down a path that doesn't align with what you want to do. The addition of an engineering bay here does potentially indicate a longer intended timing, like maybe a +1 timing or something like that. So potentially this is going even deeper, as there's no move out and stim is going to finish soon.
Yes, as GPT just keeps on adding in those units, it will have those upgrades on the way. But there's planetary number 1 finishing up. Number 2 is at that 4th base location, which is within the pathing location of of the attack path. So it's actually the natural that's turning into a planetary, but I'm willing to bet that fourth base will as well, as Ketroc is just
Yeah.
embracing the planetaries. And that is something that Ketroc does based on build. I'm not sure if there's like variations for each build on that, because sometimes Ketroc will just build like a planetary and then a bunch of orbitals.
Yeah.
Whereas against GPT here, it's going for planetaries, so it probably thinks that's a good idea.
Yeah, and this is just kind of accumulating. I probably would have expected a move up by now if it is kind of, yeah, quote unquote timing based. There's combat shield added, which is a pretty important one. But yeah, maybe this is synced up to a 1-1 as we did get the double engineering. But even then, right around now is when I expect this to start rolling.
Yeah, it should be moving out soon. And make no mistake, GPT does have a very big army, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be pushing out with this scary timing pretty darn soon. And Ketroc has had
Ketroc's coming across.
Ketroc says, nope, I'm actually going to attack, which could be a total disaster potentially, as if it does feed right into GPT. And the placement of Ketroc's army really matters in this situation, because, like, if it just loses its tanks or it's not in position to greet GPT's army, it will be very rough. We do have one tank sieging up on the low ground. GPT is going down that ramp, but it is choking up on all those auto turrets as Ketroc gets some massive tank shots off. GPT will breach that to a great cost, however. I don't know how many Marines died. It must have been like 20 or something there.
It's quite a few.
30
for
Marines.
Sure, 30. Yeah. Even still, though, look at the army supply that we've got left over.
Yeah.
So despite that being an absolutely optimal engagement, this is still scary coming for GPT.
It is still scary. The Medivacs notably aren't healing as they move after this bio. And oh, the Marines run in and get deleted quite quickly. So now it's kind of just the tanks for GPT poking forward, and they're actually in range of the planetary.
Yeah,
that is disastrous. Is that does that have high-sec auto tracking, or are they just too close?
I think just that. Yeah, it was just kind of.
Yeah, they do. It does have high-sec auto tracking, but either way, that is still, like, you can still outrange a PF with high-sec auto tracking with tanks, and Ketroc is just shutting this down super hard. Really well done by Ketroc, and yeah. It's not easy to punish a Terran that does something like getting up planetaries quickly, because, like, the pressure's really on you. It's like, oh man, I gotta kill this guy. And it's just, it's not working out for GPT. Ketroc's done a good job delaying. And yeah, if attack 1 didn't work, it's gonna be tricky to pull off attack number 2.
Yeah, especially if it turns out it's not aware of high-sec auto tracking. That's one of the hard ones to, you just have to calculate it. There's no like indicator that it's there. You just have to realize that it must be.
Now GPT, it is moving forward. Ketroc's Cyclones are picking off some of these Marines. The Marines run into a tank of Ketroc. Like, the army supplies are still fairly even, but just breaking a PF takes so darn long.
Yeah.
Ketroc is on 90 workers. It's got ridiculous Raven production now.
Yeah, exactly. The PFs almost always pay off on Ketroc's side. It's almost like you're adding 50 army supply defensively.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And Ketroc's building 5 Ravens at a time now. It's probably already got out like 10 or so, and there they go. GPT is just not really able to handle such interactions with a planetary Raven tank building bot such as Ketroc efficiently. So I think it's just a matter of time till Ketroc eventually auto turrets GPT to death now.
Yeah, pretty much. It's all kind of free damage, and each time the army moves out to try and go after those turrets, it ends up getting slammed from the low ground.
Yeah, and look at this, Ketroc. This is another thing I love from Ketroc's bot, just how many bases it's willing to take.
Yeah.
So give me the entire map.
Even once it's taken all the bases, it will just continue to build command
centers. It's so good in that regard. And it is turning them all into planetaries, funnily enough, so it does want those as planetaries, but it will eventually add on those orbitals, as you said, and GPT is just in an unwinnable position because
yeah, it's still able to field like a decent army, but there's no way to get this army into a position to do any damage. It's just you're running down this, like, basically chasing down a red curtain like a bull. Like
basically.
It's just pure damage. On the other side, you're killing turrets and stuff, but that's nothing. I think the point you made on like the non-healing is a really big one here too. There's a big investment in all these medevacs, and they're not doing it.
It's true, yeah. And whereas in the base game, if you just have your medivacs like a move after a bio army, they will stop and heal until the units get out of range. Then they'll follow and heal. Whereas it seems GPT's general pathing is overriding that. And now we see Ketroc coming in with a ridiculous amount of auto turrets that put out so much damage. It's butchering the economy of GPT, and just playing like Ketroc does on the ladder.
Yeah, very much so. We're down to only 11 workers on GPT's side. A lot of them were transferred lower once the main got mined out.
Yeah, and it's pretty clear Ketroc has been able to win this one. A very tough draw in this group for GPT running into Ketroc twice.
Yes.
As it's like Ketroc is like the wall when it comes to timing attack bots. It's not easy to kill. So.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said, the later it goes, the more you're running into this stuff. So yeah, and even then, again, identifying stuff like the auto sack. Your tanks have been back and shell down on the base, but even if that was the case, you're shelling down on the fourth base when you kind of need to win with this attack.
Exactly.
It can't do damage. It needs to win.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like sometimes it's harder to kill a meching player when you're slowly pushing into planetaries, and they're just like out expanding your damage sort of thing, and it's like, oh man. It's not a good feeling trying to race against the clock to kill a meching player for a bot or a human player. And Ketroc will take this one. It's building all those command centers. Who knows, maybe we'll get that mule message. Or maybe GPT will die before then. Who knows? Yeah. Okay, GG.
Indeed. Yeah, there we have it. We at least got some BM and text at the end. That sort of thing. So next game on Interloper, will GPT change strategies maybe to just a quicker timing that's more likely to hit before PFs are up or something like that would work, even if it's still the PF at the natural if you're there before the auto sector, you can get a good siege position, then that could still be fine. Even if there is a PF there, you just have a better choke point or contain. Can work, but we'll have to find out.
Yeah, and so game number 2 is going to be on Interloper. GPT, like it's one base all in is very strong. A lot of bot authors have kind of countered that by now after it caused a big disruption on the ladder. But it seems that the 2 base all in just has less success because like it's like, oh, I'm just gonna take a lot of time to build up and build this army, and it's like maybe it would be better if GPT just didn't build those tanks and just went in with Marines and Marauders on a grander scale, like a bigger version of its one base all in.
Exactly.
Just didn't build the Medivac sort of thing and hit earlier or something.
Yeah, the 1-1 was too much. Like, get your stem, maybe get your combat shield, but like then I'm gonna double engineering. Yeah, that's probably too long.
Or even to see like different one base all-ins, like say Phobos does very well with tank Viking. There's no reason that GPT couldn't pivot towards other builds like that. But anyway, we're ready for game number 2.
Katrock. GPT.
this is potentially our final match of the day, ladies and gentlemen. So if you guys haven't already, click the like button. You know what? Click all the buttons. Subscribe. Leave a comment down below for engagement. And then, yeah, do check out the membership program if you like to support ProBots. Drekken does a wonderful newsletter as well.
Yes. Indeed, lots of things going on, lots of ways to get involved. Try it out for yourself. Yay, good old newsletters. You can here's rantings and conspiracy theories. I think that's what's Who knows? Who knows?
What is it, like a manifesto of hatred towards legal aids or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. He wants all paralegals to be unemployed. Yeah. He's gonna mail bombs to temp offices or something. I don't know.
Yes, but no, Drekken's guides are very, very good.
Very good.
I created my bot off watching Drekken's tutorial after looking at a few other guides, and my monkey brain wasn't able to figure it out. So, but Drekken's guide was able to get me there and create a dirty cheesing bot on the ladder, which you guys I highly recommend trying, as it's a very fun time.
What is the name of your bot?
Oh, the name of my cheesy bot is Crawler.
Nice. Sounds right.
I may not be able to come up with good bots, but I do come up with good names for things.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, GPT, at least by the formation, this feels like it's more of a one base all in. Yeah.
This is its bread and butter. This is where it made its name. Now, Ketroc is just going for an orbital on the low ground. So it's exposing itself potentially to this big all-in. It does have a factory on the way, though. And there is potential for, say, a siege tank to help out with that. Although by the positioning of this factory, I feel like it's going to be air units from Ketroc. Like double starport, probably. So we'll see if it goes for double starport. One starport. A tech lab going up as well, though. So we may get a tank. And that would be very important to defending this.
Yeah, very much so. And it is the type of thing, again, control positioning, like the way the army moves and stuff. Bots in particular can shut down certain timings with just one well-positioned thing.
Yeah.
Very much, because it's harder to code for all situations of like where is what, and very frequently too, the response to a lot of intended timings from bots is stalling.
Yeah.
Is like delaying, scattering things, putting something in the way, distracting your opponent. That's what Aeolus really got away with doing for a long time. That as you came on creep to go after buildings, it would just like distract you, stall you, push you.
Yeah.
Like in one way or the other, and it really works. And like bots don't often have a good sense of like, here's the priority target and here's the timeline I need to be on.
No.
And that's often exploitable. But here comes the army. It looks like a pretty good one. About 3-to-1 size against what Ketroc's got. Ketroc's moving out.
The tank positioning really matters on this, and that tank is setting up at the third base. GPT seems to be running right towards that. This is bad for Ketroc if it loses that tank right away. Marines eat a lot of damage. There's a few buffering, but the tank is gone. Now GPT is setting up on that third base. We see the very good micro of GPT's. Like, the way that it steps forward with its bio is really well done, and how it actually takes the fights. Now, it will spend a lot of time killing that third command center. Ketroc, meanwhile, is trying to buy time. It's got a Banshee on the way. GPT does have scanning behavior, though, which can help out. A countering Banshee, though, could potentially just ruin GPT's economy, though.
Yeah, very much can shut down any reinforcements that are coming, but this force still is quite strong. It's not getting too distracted by this Cyclone, which is always a threat. So it's just going after the command center itself, which is excellent.
Yeah, and it does get that command center, so knocking Ketroc down to 1 base. It's going for the refineries now, and it will get that cyclone. The concern, though, is Ketroc is just spitting out these Banshees.
Yeah.
3 at a time presently, and there is Cloak. And in sort of like a base trade situation, which we're heading towards, it usually goes well for the Banshee player, but GPT is still, like, its economy hasn't been affected by these Banshees yet.
There's a lot of units back home for GPT that I think if they were here, then this base race is much more beneficial because they're not going to help back home. And this is just kind of going to get petered down.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but now GPT is going for that attack across the map. This one Banshee, though, is going to kill the entire economy of GPT. So that is very painful. GPT likes to attack in these waves, which is why we saw the much later move out. Ketroc does get supply blocked again and again by this bio killing off those depots, but still there's a lot of Banshees out. How many do we have out presently? 6 in total. So that is a lot of firepower, particularly if there's no scan. Marines are trying to chase these Banshees down in the main base to try and keep things going for GPT. And there's that big blue blob heading towards the base of Ketroc.
Yeah, clean up buildings quickly. Some of this will be how well do these recognize the danger and lift off, because it may be a full-on base trade that we're getting here.
Yeah.
And are there scans available once this starts?
There usually is one for GPT. Yeah. There's the single scan, and I believe it just saves up enough energy for one. It's about...
It's going to get
close.
Another.
Yeah, to another, which is good to see. And do we get that scan dropped? Not yet. Oh, did it drop a mule or something?
It might have, yeah, or scanned back home or something, because it needs them both places.
There's a fresh mule back at home, so GPT may have just doomed itself as it is losing all of these units, as Banshees are just the answer to this rush, and it does seem that it's checkmate here.
Yeah, and it looked like there was always going to be a floated off building for Ketroc there anyway. In which case you were just going to lose in the long run. But certainly a better showing here. Like, this timing attack worked quite well. The initial engagement, like, a tank got off some good shots, but it was caught out and eventually killed. You kind of needed that in a way more defensible position. So GPT breaking through, but it's just the counterpunch of the Banshees and not having a response then.
I do see a world in which GPT is able to win that game. It also, like, there's options for the bot author. Like, they could have built a turret in their mineral line. They had the eBay, or they could have sent out the second attack maybe a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
But
they could have just streamed that whole attack, like, instead of even saving them at all, just send reinforcements consistently. Because I think it's when that petered out, there was a window there where, again, you're just getting damage done, and then eventually it's a lift off and you're both in a no economy situation.
That is very difficult as a bot author, because the total logic behind why they don't just, like, stream units is because a lot of times bots will just stream units to their death endlessly. So I guess GPT could potentially have some sort of detection to be like, I still have a presence, so reinforce.
Yes.
But if that presence gets eliminated, they could say, okay, go back to pooling units potentially to maybe be a bit more efficient. But anyway, well done to Ketroc, advancing. After falling to -0, it is able to advance over GPT with 2 victories against GPT in this group. So well done there.
Indeed, and I think we're gonna take a look at the final bracket here. So Benbot advancing 2-0 over Aeolus, and Ketroc, as we just saw, 2-0 over GPT. So both of those bots are moving on to the round of 8, which we're going to have next week. Once we're in the round of 8, it is single elimination, so no more second chances. We're going to start off with a best of 3 in the quarterfinals, and then that moves on to a best of 5 and best of 7 in the finals, which is coming up. And also keep your eyes out in coming weeks for the humans versus AI submissions. We always do a humans versus AI on the day of our finals, and we want submissions of replays and so on from viewers just like you, which we try and showcase and we arrange in the most dramatic fashion that we can to make it look close.
Yeah, no, humans versus bots is very fun. I do recommend, if you guys haven't tried playing versus the bots, to give it a whirl, just to get it, to see what it feels like, and it's a ton of fun. And then yeah, I'm very much looking forward to our round of 8, as like we've got phenomenal bots across the board that have advanced, and yeah.
Indeed. So thanks everyone for watching. Once again, hit that like and subscribe. Check out the Patreon if you want to support ProBots. And if you want to get involved, once again, there is templates and guide videos and so on in the description below. Do you have any predictions for the round of 8? Actually, I don't know. Do we have a bracket for that yet? Who's playing who? No, we don't. So who overall do you think is going to win?
Yeah, overall, I mean, it's so difficult to call because we've got Changeling instead of Eris.
Yeah.
I think -0 is probably the best bot, but we will not know until we see what races Changeling rolls, because it could very well be a -0 versus Changeling finals depending on the bracket, and it would completely come down to it. So I'll say -0.
Yeah, that's kind of my leaning as well, with the exact same logic of, if Changeling was predictable, then we could kind of play out those matches mentally. But yeah, where it's going to change races, it's hard to tell what's going to happen. Although all of them are pretty strong at the moment. There's, once you get down to the Final Four and so on, there are matches that it can lose. But yeah, I'd probably go with -0 as my pick as well, but we'll see coming forward. So definitely tune in next week. It'll be an interesting one. We're going to have some good games. I would be surprised if the first round goes through with all 2-0s. I think we're going to have some back and forth.
Oh yeah, like when you've got bots like Xena and Zozo who are in the bracket, like you're gonna have some scrappy games for sure, and that leads to very good series.
Yeah, we've got a weird number of random, like we had 3 random this season. We've never had that before. So that adds a lot of randomness to it.
The bot authors updating definitely will really change how the tournament goes as well. They have one more update, right, going into the entire finals. So
I think so.
That will be something that the bot authors will be preparing for. Like, I'm very excited that we got an update for Caninana. I think Kanana is probably maybe almost this. It feels weird to say the sleeper, because it's been almost overshadowed a little bit by like -0 and Eris, but it's still such an incredible bot. And with a few tweaks, like it could potentially just go the distance. Like it still routinely beats beats Eris, well, maybe doesn't beat Eris, but beats -0 and beats all the top bots. So Caninana is one I'm very looking forward to seeing how that performs.
Yeah, definitely will be good. So stay tuned for those coming up. And leave a comment. Let us know what your prediction is for this thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks
and with
so much,
that,
everyone.
I think we're out. And and check out, of course, Laughing Games does casts of these bots basically every day. So always pick some really good games for that. So support him. Check out that channel as well if you like this content.
Yeah, have a wonderful day, evening, wherever you are. Bye-bye.